because the shoe is on the other foot. And Trump, according to this Axios reporting, makes a call and says, not looking good, dude.
These allegations might be new, but Max Miller had a history of abusing women dating back to high school, where there were allegations he pushed a young woman down the stairs. He was almost expelled from college for an incident. I mean, these are credible allegations. I think just to say their allegations doesn't show that they are quite substantiated. Obviously, there's police reports. This is a creepy guy. He should definitely not have power. I don't think that people in the Republican Party...
But the answer to your question, why is this different? Because this is the Republican Party, and they handle these situations differently.
Especially with some of the precedents that Trump himself set. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If he were to leave, he would always be this guy who assaulted his children, who assaulted his wife, and essentially admitted it.
Guys, last night on Abby Phillip show, one of the biggest Republican double standards played out live on television. And when those shameless Maga pundits tried to defend it, Abby and the progressive panel fact-checked them so relentlessly that their arguments completely fell apart. Now I'm going to play some clips, and I'll share my thoughts as we go.
Tonight, the clock is ticking for Republicans to keep a Republican congressman on the ballot or boot him over abuse allegations. Axios is reporting tonight that President Trump has called Ohio Congressman Max Miller and told him that his candidacy is in trouble, adding, quote, things aren't looking good. First, listen to what Congressman Max Miller is accused of doing. His ex-wife, Emily Moreno, is alleging that he pointed a gun at her while she changed their daughter's diaper. She also told police that he threw her into a wall after she was late to drop off the child. And in court documents, she alleged that Miller threw hot water on her. And in February, police investigated whether there was child abuse after the 2-year-old suffered a broken collarbone. Now, no charges were ever filed, and Miller has repeatedly denied abuse allegations, including this weekend.
Understand one thing. Every one of these allegations traces back to a single source, my former wife. Just want to be clear, no court, no agency has ever substantiated any allegation of abuse against me. No criminal charge has ever been filed against me. Ask yourself, if I had assaulted her, would she have offered to cook me dinner 6 days later? Would she have invited me to spend an afternoon at the playground with her and our daughter? Would she have written that we were in a friendlier place? No, she wouldn't have. I'm not getting out of this race, and I'm winning in November.
But Emily Moreno's father, who is Senator Bernie Moreno, says that Miller admitted to needing serious psychological help and that he's a danger to his granddaughter. He says Miller's failed basic character standards and that he should not serve in the House. Miller would have to get out of the race by tomorrow night in order to allow for a special primary, and so far he's refusing to. He would have to get out of the race before August 10th in order to allow his party to find a replacement candidate. But tonight, a source says that Trump is telling allies that he doesn't believe that Miller can win, given the accusations against him. But he hasn't been saying that out loud. Listen.
Well, it's a very sad thing. I know Max. He's a good person. I mean, I always thought he was a very good person. And I'm going to let the families figure that out. But it's accusations, and I'm going to let them figure that out.
Accusations. We've seen a lot of those lately. And accusations actually have been enough for there to be political pressure for candidates to drop out of races, like in Maine. Why not here?
Well, there is political pressure for him to drop out. It's not necessarily coming from the president. It may be, because we don't know what was said on this call, but it's coming from Bernie Moreno, who said he should get out, even if he's been kind of sheepish about it.
Is it coming from his party?
Yeah, it's coming from his party. It's coming from Bernie Moreno, Kansas Senator. Roger Marshall,
okay.
And Lisa Murkowski, as well as several House members.
What about leadership? What about
Mike Johnson?
Well, those people may be working behind the scenes.
Let me play.
Well, hang on. Just to finish the point, one of the things that might be happening behind the scenes is an effort to usher him out the door, as happened with Van Taylor in 2022, with Tony Gonzalez in 2026.
Because users get this graceful exit, which is not a
Republican effort to censure a congressman just today for making passes at his female staffers. It is not as though these things are just swept under the rug. They are dealt with in a procedural fashion.
Exit? It's actually really not a red or blue issue.
It may not be a graceful exit if he continues to resist.
1 in 3 women in this country experience intimate partner violence. That means that most of us know someone who has lived through it and loved someone through it. And when you hear a man like that saying, well, you know, she offered to cook me dinner 6 days later, why would she do that? Anyone who has known someone and loved someone through that knows exactly that is the kind of thing that happens. And it's setting such a poor example of who we are as a country that says, if men abuse women, we know they will abuse power. And it's not just qualified.
Did you hear me speak? I just said that we don't do that. I feel like you have that.
You're saying that we should do the slow behind the scenes work. And I'm saying, why do they do that?
Okay.
Do whatever it takes to get him out.
Yeah. Let me play. This is Speaker Johnson. This is Mike Turner. They're answering questions about this situation. Here's what they said this weekend.
The key word there is allegation. We have a process here. The House Ethics Committee works on those things. If allegations are made, they work through a process.
Is it at least something Republican leadership should look into?
Well, again, this is an issue that is currently part of a divorce and part of litigation that's in a courtroom, and the court should be handling this.
Should he resign from Congress in light of the accusations?
Look, this is a family matter. I know Max is a good man. I was up campaigning for him. I hope he wins re-election.
And those are our strongest fighters.
Guys, you are about to witness one of the clearest examples of political hypocrisy we've seen in a long time. The same MAGA leaders and their cronies who were ranting about accountability just weeks ago are suddenly preaching patience now. So what changed? Simple. This time, it's not a Democratic politician. This time, it's a Republican congressman, Max Miller. Miller's facing serious domestic violence allegations made by none other than his ex-wife. As expected, Miller has denied every accusation, and on top of that, reports say Donald Trump privately called Miller and warned him that the controversy could seriously damage his re-election campaign. However, no prominent Republicans are calling on him to step aside. Now let's get back when Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner faced serious allegations about his conduct in the past. Many Democrats immediately distanced themselves. Some of them publicly said that he should not hold public office. Plattner denied the allegations, but Maga Pundits said he should be put out of the race immediately.
So Lydia, look,
right?
The allegations are physical abuse. I remember it was literally a couple of weeks ago when allegations of rape were enough for everyone, okay, Republicans and Democrats to say, it's over, Graham Plattner, you got to get out. Why? This is a question of, does he stay as a candidate? Nobody is saying, does he go to jail? Yeah, the courts will figure that out. But should he stay as a candidate? No. Should there be a simple answer to that?
No. I mean, these are credible allegations. I think just to say their allegations doesn't show that they are quite substantiated. Obviously, there's police reports. This is a creepy guy. He should definitely not have power. I don't think that people in the Republican Party should want to align with him. And to Noah's point, I hope we're seeing people behind the scenes, and I hope we see people in front of the camera start calling for his ouster as well.
But let's not retroactively pretend.
Just to go back to his, not yours, his original point. Yes, a man can be abusive to a woman, and then later she may be civil to him. And there's many reasons why that would be.
It was a very creepy video.
That does not erase his abuse toward her. But the answer to your question, why is this different? Because this is the Republican Party, and they handle these situations differently. And I'm not saying the Democratic Party is
one
perfect on these
distinction I would like to
but
make.
over and over, we see the Republican Party handling this sort of thing with kid gloves, where the Democratic Party is different.
No one is campaigning for him and standing up next to him.
Actually, the final clip, he was just there campaigning.
Donald Trump could have easily said today in front of the cameras, resign. He chose not to
say that. Are we all pretending like the first allegation against Graham Plattner get every Democrat to say he should drop out? Does everybody remember the weeks in which they tried to defame a woman for being a Republican?
Hold on a second. You were saying that Democrats didn't really believe the first allegation, some of them. Not some seated here, but some of them. And I think that that's right. But Republicans were correctly calling that out as wrong. And let me just play what Trump said about Graham Plattner. Just listen to how different the tone was about this back in June.
I watched that thug that's up in Maine. He's a thug. And they're trying to make excuses for him. I mean, he's worse than any human being that's ever run for office, probably. But this is a thug. He's a cheap, no good person. And I watch these senators, the Democrats, and, well, we don't really know. You do know. These idiots going like Schumer, well, he's okay, he's okay. He's not okay. Can you imagine if the Republicans had him? If it meant losing the Senate, you would not let that happen. Correct. That's just a terrible thing.
Well, now we don't really have to imagine, because the shoe is on the other foot. And Trump, according to this Axios reporting, makes a call and says, not looking good, dude. And then Max Miller says, I'm not going anywhere. Where's the pressure? Public or private?
Well, we don't know. I'm not on the inside of this thing or across from it, so I couldn't say. I hope there's pressure, sufficient political pressure. I mean, in our political environment, especially with some of the precedents that Trump himself set, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you were to leave, he would always be this guy who assaulted his children, who assaulted his wife.
How does Trump pressure him on this?
Hang on. However, what the president did admit, and it's a valuable admission, is that politics is affecting how he thinks about this thing. And it's what happens with Democrats and Republicans.
Why
and the other thing is that Max
trust in our elected officials right now, because they fail to stand on anything. And when I look at this, it's not like this is some big surprise. These allegations might be new, but Max Miller had a history of abusing women dating back to high school, where there were allegations he pushed a young woman down the stairs. He was almost expelled from college for an incident, involving a female student. And so we should also be asking the question, not just how did we get here and why won't he stand up, but why was he in office in the first place? He was married on Trump's golf course.
This is the Trump playbook, that you get accused of very serious, credible things, and you just deny, you just look in the camera and say, I'm going to keep going. How could the Republican Party say, no, not this one, but the guy on top is fine, he can do that. How could Trump say to him, no, you can't go forward? Only politically, not because of morally, not because of him as character.
Guys, here's where the double standard becomes impossible to ignore. Now that a Republican politician is facing allegations, there are no prominent Republicans calling on Miller to step aside. Instead, the message has completely flipped here. Now we're hearing, let's wait for the facts. They're just allegations. Everyone deserves due process. Hold on a second. Are you serious? Wasn't that exactly the argument many conservatives rejected when the allegations involved a Democratic politician? Where are those hypocritical MAGA commentators who were ranting about the allegations against Plattner and said his character made him unfit for public office? The verdict in that case seemed to come long before all the facts did. But ironically, now that one of their own is under scrutiny, the standard suddenly changes. Let's be fair. Due process definitely matters. After all, allegations are not convictions. Both Plattner and Miller have flatly denied the accusations against them, and if you believe Miller should remain in the race until the facts are known, shouldn't that standard be applied to a Democratic candidate too? You can't have it both ways. I actually believe there should be an equal standard for politicians no matter what party they represent. I mean, when politicians switch principles, voters start losing faith in the political process.
One of the other things that you just brought up, past allegations, Stephanie Grisham, a former Trump press secretary, had reported, this is according to her own op-ed, abuse by Max Miller in the past. She said, I confided the same story about physical abuse that I had told Mrs. Trump. I told the president that this, quote, great guy had anger issues and a violent streak. The president and first lady seemed totally unfazed about whether there was another abuser in their workplace. It didn't even seem to register on the president's radar screen as a concern. To the contrary, knowing what he knows, Trump has endorsed my ex's bid for Congress. And the takeaway, she says, dealing with abuse claims is not in his interest, but having someone in office who will be a rubber stamp for his agenda is.
I mean,
that's a pretty damn it. This was 2021, okay? This was years ago.
When you said
same guy.
was that Trump? Was
no.
Abuser?
It was referring to another incident that had happened in the first Trump term with another person.
I do think it's important for all of us to remember that this accusation, this allegation, which, as you noted, has been basically backed up by police charges and police investigations, is Bernie Moreno's daughter. And she's a tried and true Republican. And I do think it is the case that because he himself has a jury had determined that he is credibly not just accused, found guilty of rape. It is a little hard.
Liable
for rape. Sorry, liable for sexual abuse. it is a little bit hard for him to perhaps understand this issue. Right. And he does seem like an incredible hypocrite. But I think what is really surprising beyond Donald Trump is how few Republicans have stood up for a senator's daughter in this situation.
And Bernie Moreno is saying this guy shouldn't serve in Congress, but nobody else is backing him. I should say nobody. Very few other people are backing him up on that, which seems pretty sad.
John Husted is up for election. He's a senator from Ohio. He has been silent on this case. What does he think about these allegations against Bernie Moreno's daughter? He's silent. Republicans are silent. There were a lot of people who spoke out against Graham Plattner publicly.
That's it for today, guys. Do you think Miller should be treated the same way Plattner was treated? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you with the next video.